I wanted to personally thank you for watching my videos and contributing to the growth of my channel. I could not do this without you, and your interest in my content is truly what motivates me and fuels my passion for making these videos and spreading my message. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to remind you that this channel is a free educational tool that is listener supported, and if you would like to donate to my channel and donate to my cause, help make my life a little bit easier and help keep the lights on around here, you can do so by checking out the links in the description box below. There's a handful of not only ways to donate to my channel, but I also have links to different websites and different videos of mine, as well as my Amazon store, where you can check out a plethora of different health related products that I use and recommend. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your continued interest in my message, and until next time, peace be with you all. Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new video. You know, we often miss our mark here in the Matrix because we don't have a code to live by. The average man or woman does not have a code to live by. And every man and every woman, in my opinion, needs a code. And a code, at least how I'm using it in this video, the word code, what it means is a set of standards of living. How do you live your life? Do you have a code? Most people have a general code that they've developed, but it's not chiseled. I mean, most people want to try to do what's right in life. Most people don't want to harm others and create unnecessary suffering. And most people, again, they try to do what's right. Most people have developed this particular code predicated upon the culture that they live in. So again, there's laws in place. There's certain things that are illegal, and by living in a world where there's laws in place, pre-established laws, you kind of create a code based on what you observe. You know, okay, there's laws that say I can and can't do this, that, and the other. So again, people kind of develop their own code simply by living life. What's sad, and I don't want to rant about this, but I do just want to bring this up really quickly. What's sad, ladies and gentlemen, is that if there weren't laws in place, you would be absolutely shocked to see how many people would do heinous things. Without law, there is anarchy, there is total disorder, and we've seen this time and time again throughout history. So in my opinion, we need laws, because the average person, unfortunately, and this is going to sound really bad, they lack integrity. People lack integrity. So, and again, we see what happens in areas where there aren't large police presences. People commit crimes, they do horrible things. I'm not saying everyone, I'm just being completely fucking honest with you. We are a flawed species. We are in a fallen state. We are in what is known as the land of the bottom feeder. At least that's what I call it. This is the underworld. And while you navigate through this dimension, it would be of utmost benefit to you to develop your own code on how to live life. Some people have codes that, again, as we mentioned earlier, that they kind of develop just as a byproduct of living in this world and observing the world, interacting with it. Some people develop codes by adopting religious ideologies. Most religions are, in a sense, kind of metaphysical codes. Most religions are designed to try to teach you how to live in a specific way. So what I've done, ladies and gentlemen, is I've done my best to create my own way of living, my own standard of living, my own code based on my own meditations, reflections, deep introspection, and my own unique outlook on life. I consider myself in this world, but in no way, shape, or form of it. And what I mean when I say I'm not of this world, I'm referring to the Matrix. The Matrix is an illusionary world that will trap you if you are not gingerly on your approach on how you live alongside it. And a lot could be said off the last statement I just made, and I don't want, again, I don't want to go off into left field a million times, so let's just stay on point. The Matrix does not teach you how to live life properly. The ancient schools of philosophy, more often than not, folks, were designed to teach people, aspirants, ancient schools of philosophy, excuse me, I can't fucking speak today, were designed to a large extent to teach people how to live properly. You see, you came into this world without an instruction manual. You were thrown into this world and pretty much allowed to play for a few years and then told to stop playing so that you can go to school and go down, again, what I like to call the conveyor belt of the Matrix, where you just start getting all these tasks and obligations and you have to start having all these due dates. And, you know, you get thrown into this situation where you're constantly stimulated and having to do all these tasks and get all this shit done. And along the way, you lose sight of what's most important in life because you're chasing after things. The school system, ladies and gentlemen, teaches you to, you know, you've got to get all these good grades, you've got to get everything done in time, blah, 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 so that you can get to high school, so that you can graduate and go to a good college, so that you can get a good job and make a bunch of money. And if you don't do this, you might fall short, you might end up homeless. They just trap you at a young age. It is so disgusting to witness how the education system takes innocent children and pumps fear into them so that they abide by the rules, if you will. You don't want to end up homeless. You're gonna, need to be able to afford all this stuff at someday down the road. You've got to get everything done on time. So they take you out of alignment with the natural progression of your life. And they put you into a situation where you start having to get things done and you get all these due dates and you have to start remembering factoids and history and all this bullshit. Now, I talked about this in a recent video, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think it's important as a primer to kind of go over a few things before we continue with this video. When you get thrown into the education system, and all of you have been in it, myself included, what ends up happening is you start absorbing information and remembering factoids and studying and doing all this stuff, and it doesn't teach you how to have a strong, impeccable moral code to live life. We all need a code. In fact, the education system takes your developing mind and just fills, like a dry sponge, it just fills you with information. It clouds your reasoning skills. It clouds your judgment. You just start absorbing stuff, information. Instead of allowing your mind to flower and blossom naturally, all this stuff just starts getting crammed in your memory. And that dictates how you look at the world. The school system is remarkable mind control. And I don't want to get into a huge tangent about it, but it is absolutely true, ladies and gentlemen. And it's exceptional mind control because it takes your mind out of its normal gear, its natural gear when you're younger. Puts your mind in a completely different gear and just invites all of this information in. And all of the information that you start to store in your mind creates a lens that you look at reality through, and it clouds your judgment because it takes you out of alignment with communication with yourself. And this is very important to understand. Most people do not communicate with themselves properly. They talk to themselves constantly because there's an internal dialogue that most people aren't aware of. So yes, people communicate with themselves, but it is not in any way, shape, or form the proper form of communication. So I've already told you guys how to locate the foreign installations of the mind, I like to call them, by doing the thoughtlessness exercises, the motionlessness exercises, the inner temple exercises, etc. You can do certain things that will allow you to see how there's an internal dialogue in your mind that operates just behind the curtain of the conscious mind. You've got to learn to put yourself into altered states of consciousness through your own efforts so that you can observe what's going on in your mind, because the average person has not only control over their mind, they have no clue the extent, ladies and gentlemen, of how polluted and possessed their own goddamn mind is. Because you operate, again, in what I like to call the surface. You operate at the very front of the mind. But behind that curtain, there's a ton of stuff and activity going on in your mind that is affecting your physical world that you live in, and you're not even aware of it. So you want to tell me that education is the, oh, you know, school's so great and college and everybody's got to get a great education. You want to tell me that this is such a great thing, but meanwhile, you clearly don't even have control over your goddamned mind? What good is school if it doesn't even teach you how to think properly? If it doesn't even teach you how to have control over your own mind? Most people going through the school system are possessed, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't mean by some metaphysical demon or, you know, hierarchy of evil spirits. I'm talking about their minds they're possessed because they don't work properly. So you get born into this world. You start getting exposed to all the unnecessary medical treatments, and you have to start remembering all this bullshit garbage from these teachers and all this nonsense, and it fills your mind with a ton of shit, and a lot of that stuff develops belief systems, and those belief systems operate behind the conscious mind, and it creates this internal dialogue that operates on a 24-hour cycle pretty much, that you're not even aware of because you don't meditate, and if you do, you probably don't even do it properly. I'm not judging. I'm saying that meditation, first and foremost, should be a tool to locate the inconsistencies in your own mind and thinking processes. The goal of meditation is to enter into thoughtlessness, ladies and gentlemen. And when you try to enter thoughtlessness by doing the minimalistic meditations that I talk about, you watch what happens. When you try to sit for 5, 10, 15 fucking minutes and not have a single thought in your mind, watch what happens. You're going to be exposed to agitation and cravings. Your body might start itching really bad. Your body has been hardwired by the matrix to constantly be going, just constantly. There's never rest and introspection. There's due dates, obligations. I gotta eat, I gotta wipe my ass, I've gotta do this, I've gotta do that. And over time, ladies and gentlemen, that creates an internal blueprint that encodes the subconscious mind with erroneous, non-salubrious information. And we all know that the subconscious mind creates your reality, but that's besides the point. I could take this rant in a million different directions, and it could be 4 or 5 hours long. I'm going to try to stay on point and keep things succinct. We need a code. Every man and woman needs a code. And in order to develop a code, ladies and gentlemen, and at least in my opinion, you need a purging. You have got to become exposed to the inconsistencies of your own mind, because if you don't ever realize that there's fault in your own thinking processes, if you never come into contact with the fact that there is an error in your mind that's causing you to live a life that's out of alignment with your higher self, if you never realize that with actuality, well, you probably wouldn't even think you need a code. You probably think your life is great right now. So I developed my own personal code on how to live life. I developed my own moral system based on my experiences purging all the nonsense out of me. It's kind of like how Yoda says, in order to grow, you have to unlearn what you've learned. That is so true. So as I put myself into altered states of consciousness through my own efforts, as I practiced shamanism, as I worked with certain systems of yoga, ladies and gentlemen, as I did certain meditations over the years, I started to notice within me that there was an internal dialogue and all this crap that had been stored in my mind that was affecting my life, that was out of alignment with what I wanted to be. I sought out the errors in my own mind because I knew that by living in this world, I had become programmed by it. So as I put myself into vulnerable states of altered consciousness, again, through shamanism, etc., I sought out the errors in my own thinking processes in mine and my mind by listening to it. And over time, I started to realize that my life is out of alignment. I'm not experiencing the life that I want to live because my mind has been programmed, and the key for me to grow would be to locate the errors in my thinking and replace them with balanced beliefs, etc. There's so many things I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, and this is such a complicated and extensive subject that it's very difficult to not only make it make sense in a short amount of time, but it's hard to put words together properly to accurately convey what I'm trying to convey. The mind is extensive, and it has been programmed. It has been programmed in a way that keeps you out of alignment with what the Stoics referred to as eudaimonia, which is basically your higher self.
We have got to purge those qualities in our minds, etc., in our souls that are keeping us out of alignment with our higher self. And the only way that you're going to realize that you have these qualities is if you do, again, the minimalistic meditations, the thoughtlessness exercises, the full body relaxation exercises. I talk about these things because they have massive merit in this world. So, again, there's so much that can be said. So, you know what? I don't know how to accurately convey, ladies and gentlemen, in a short amount of time, exactly what I did over the past 15 years of my life to develop my own code. All I will say, however, is that my code that I developed on how to live my life and interact with the world while remaining sane, because this is an insane world, and when you become conscious, it will test your sanity. I developed my own system largely based on my deprogramming process. Now, I've talked about this in the past, and I really want to try to convey this and articulate this properly, because this is crucial. People ask me all the time, how do I develop my own code? How do I do this? How do I do that? You develop your own code, ladies and gentlemen, through the deprogramming process. It's just like Yoda said in I think it was maybe the first, might have been the third Star Wars film. Yoda tells Luke, when he's trying to teach him how to use the Force, that you have to unlearn what you've fucking learned. Now, this is a very profound statement because it's a very deep, it's a very deep, I can't speak today. When you unlearn what you've learned, you learn in the process. This is how I developed my own code. As I sought out the errors in my own thinking, when I finally located them, I realized the way out of the problem. You can only realize your way out of the problem by finding the problem. I hope that makes sense. So when you find the problem in your own thinking processes, when you go in and try to locate your core beliefs, for instance, when you find a core belief that is illegitimate, the very fact that you found it allows you to fix the problem. Does that make sense? So as you seek to unlearn what you've learned and been programmed with, when you finally find what you've been seeking, a solution to the problem presents itself because you've found the problem. As you unlearn, you learn, is what I'm saying. It's not like you have to unprogram yourself and get all this stuff out of yourself and then, okay, finally I'm clean, finally I'm unprogrammed, now I can reprogram myself. No, ladies and gentlemen. As you deprogram and you find the forward installations of the mind, as they are found, a replacement system by default comes into the picture. So for instance, if you locate a very deep core belief about yourself and you find that maybe you have like a self-hatred belief system that you're not even aware of, if you go into your inner temple and you do all these exercises that I talk about and locate the core belief, when you pull it out of the unconscious mind to observe, a solution presents itself because you've found the problem. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of like if you have a leak in your sink. Once you find the leak in the sink that's dripping, you have a solution to the problem because you know where to patch the sink. As you unprogram, if you do it successfully, you can reprogram by default. It's a cause and effect reaction. It takes a little bit of effort on your part because you can choose what to reprogram yourself with once you find the problem in your own mind. But more often than not, it's like this whiplash effect or this, just this instant replacement. I hope that makes sense. Again, the things that are in my mind, I'm afraid I don't articulate them properly. But one of the greatest things, and I've been preaching this to you guys for years, is, for you, one of the greatest things for your health is for you to go into your mind and try to locate your core beliefs. Do you even know what your beliefs are? Do you even know what you believe in? And if you do believe in things, do you even know why you believe in them? Why do you believe what you believe? These are very important questions that we all need to be asking ourselves if we're actually serious about regaining the power of our own goddamn mind. Believing in things without knowing why is really foolish. And a lot of us have a life that we're currently living in the present moment here in 2020 that is the byproduct of believing in things without even knowing why we believe in them. Again, the school system never taught you how to live your life properly. It never taught you how to have complete control over your mind. We're not just supposed to absorb all the garbage from the matrix without questioning it. Because when you do that, you develop belief systems. You categorize units of information and then store them in your mind. You learn how to look at reality based on what you go through when you're younger. And we all went through the fucking school system, folks. We were all taught the alphabet, basic mathematical units. We were all taught a version of history that is completely bogus. There's all this crap. They teach you how to interact with the world in a very physical way. I mean, compared to the mystery schools of ancient Chem, compared to the schools of philosophy and the philosophical schools throughout the world of antiquity, the school systems nowadays, it's a complete fucking abomination compared to what schools are designed to be. Schools can be a very good thing, ladies and gentlemen, but schools have to be built upon the foundation of liberating the student, not just teaching the student to be a good, hard worker. Schools should be about teaching you how to live properly, teaching you to have a strong code. Schools shouldn't be about just forcing you in at a young age and getting you to memorize a bunch of stuff. What the hell is going on? This is like some crazy fucking just nightmare hallucination scenario. The more conscious you become, the more you'll start to see what I'm talking about. A lot of people, when they hear me talk about reality, they think I sound like an extremist. They think I sound like I'm overreacting. No, you just underreact because you haven't uncovered what I've uncovered. And that's not judgmental. But the average person who wants to judge me for how I look at the world, they just haven't seen what I've seen. And because of that, they're living in a more comfortable, unconscious, ignorance is bliss mentality. When you're ignorant, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to take on personal responsibility. And when you don't have to do that, life is much easier. Life just becomes about you and your own appetites and, your shelter and just very basic self needs regarding yourself. But when you start to become conscious, when you start to poke the bear, so to speak, when you start to pierce the veil through your own actions, when you start to put your head and your consciousness in places where you're not supposed to be, the system doesn't want you to become conscious, but when you start to forcibly pierce the veil, you start to witness or see that there's a lot of stuff that we've been lied to about. And because of that, when you start to realize that there's much more to life than you've been told, and that the system has deliberately lied to you, it can create a little bit of stress, and it can make you sound like an extremist to the unconscious masses who are okay with living these very strange, very simple, there's a cat right there. And I don't think you can see it. We'll leave the camera. Kitty! What you doing, cat? Again, folks, it can be very easy to just live. See if you guys can see the cat. There he goes, right there. So, one thing that I would recommend doing, folks, is pick up again the book called The Little Book of Stoicism. I can't remember the author's name. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description box below. If you guys have never signed up for Amazon Audible before, I'm pretty sure they have free subscriptions right now that are 30 days long, and as long as you cancel the subscription before the 30 days is up, you won't get charged again. But you get a free 30 days, and they'll allow you to have like between 1 and 3 audiobooks for free with your trial, and you get to keep them even when the trial is up. And I've gotten, over $100 worth of audiobooks for free from these free trials, and I can still use them even though I don't have a subscription anymore. It's a great deal, and I'm pretty sure that book is available on Amazon Audible. If not, I know that it's available on Scribd, scribd.com. You can have a free 30-day trial with that as well, and afterwards it's $9.99. Scribd is one of the greatest tools, in my opinion. I love that website. There are so many audiobooks on there. you can save literally thousands of dollars if you read a lot or listen to audiobooks. There are so much material on Scribd, but the Little Book of Stoicism is on Scribd, and that book will help you see the need to have a code in life, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of you could follow someone else's code. You know, there's so many different schools of philosophy that you can research, and you can live your life based on, you know, the qualities that they teach. But I think it's most important that you develop your own unique code. Now, I'm not going to share my code with you, every single piece to it, because it's a unique thing, or it's a personal thing. But I will, however, share with you how I came to develop my own code. Every person, let's just put it this way, who becomes conscious in the Matrix will realize that they have to have a code so that they can navigate through this world. Once you become conscious, ladies and gentlemen, once you get rid of the ignorance is bliss programming, the Matrix takes on a more dangerous quality. Because if you're conscious in this world, there's certain things that start happening, and you need to be on top of your game. And how do you take responsibility for your life? You have to have a code of conduct. You have to have a specific set of rules that you create for yourself so that you can live a proper life here in hell. So I will, however, say, again, I don't want to share every little nook and cranny about my own system, but I will, ladies and gentlemen, say that the process of unlearning is how I developed my own code. As I unlearned, my code came into the horizon, into my visual, what's the word I'm looking for? It came into picture by itself. So we talked about that a little bit ago in this video, about how as you unlearn, ladies and gentlemen, you relearn by default. This can only be experienced. It can't really be talked about. So as you unlearn, you will relearn. That's just a simple cause and effect reaction to this.